Distinguished Representative of Sri Lanka.
Madam President, I thank you for giving me the floor. I also welcome Minister Maliki. Madam President, it is an indictment on all of us that for more than 7 decades, there has been a long struggle to find a just and peaceful solution to the situation in Palestine. Sri Lanka has long advocated continuous support for the sovereign independent state of Palestine and calls on the international community and all parties concerned to make renewed efforts to achieve a lasting solution, including through the early implementation of the United Nations resolution on a two-state solution based on the 1967 borders. It is said, Mr. President, that you cannot separate peace from freedom because no one can be at peace unless he has his freedom. One might observe that this was a salutary wish in the teeth of the recent statement made by the Secretary General and numerous member states, which indicated that any attempt at unilateral annexation of a state's territory by another state is in violation of international law. It is clear that any occupation of territory by force incurs international responsibilities and would hold an occupying force accountable. We have regrettably learnt of the unabated forcible acquisition of land and of natural resources of Arab land. We have heard of the 15-year blockade and the closure of the Gaza Strip, which has been described as an open-air prison. All this, Mr. President, has had serious impact on Palestinian life and even perhaps on Israel. We are saddened to hear of the damaging impact of the children as a result of the ongoing aggression. It was not long ago that the Security Council adopted a presidential statement expressing its deep concern on the ongoing situation in the occupied Arab lands. This Council reaffirmed its unwavering commitment to the vision of a two-state solution where two democratic states, Israel and Palestine, live side by side in peace within secure and recognized borders. That commitment stressed that both peoples are entitled to equal measures of freedom, security, property, and dignity, and went on to observe that continuing aggression, whichever quarter it comes from, is dangerous and imperils the viability of the two-state solution. Madam President, we cannot but discourage all unilateral measures that impede peace, and we condemn such action, including acts of terrorism, and call upon all parties to clearly condemn such acts and refrain from incitement to violence. We plead with all parties to observe calm and restraint and refrain from provocative actions, incitement, and inflammatory rhetoric. We also must discourage instances of discrimination, intolerance, and hate speech motivated by racism or directed against persons belonging to religious communities. We also must stand firm in our call for the upholding of an unchanged status quo at the holy sites of Jerusalem. It was only recently that this Assembly noted the important regional diplomatic efforts made and called for an urgent halt to any activity that will be detrimental to the peace process. Regrettably, the holiest of the months to both denominations have not passed peacefully. We therefore reiterate the calls for all parties to refrain from steps that could escalate tensions in and around the holy sites. We do appreciate that there have been dramatic changes not only in Israel and Palestine in recent years, but in the region as a whole. We believe that there is a need to consider a new discourse about this unending problem first and foremost, having regard to the dramatic changes on the ground in recent years. Madam President, it would finally appear that the story of Palestine from beginning to date has all the shades of colonialism and disposition which the international community treats as being multifaceted, difficult to understand, and even more difficult to resolve. We do appreciate that it is difficult to challenge established powers and interests when they refuse to hear the moral voices of civil societies and their objectives, but we must continue to encourage peace, for there is always a requirement to think carefully about whether more can be done in a bid to resolve this long outstanding issue. We have to find a way forward and a way out of this ongoing catastrophe. It would appear that this vision is clearly based on the desire to be of assistance to the people of Palestine and on real political considerations of the other. Many are those who support a two-state solution as an ideal settlement are perhaps saying it very sincerely. But at the same time, it has helped us diplomats and politicians to remain ineffective. However, this language is put in place as the best solution, although may not be completely satisfactory. Madam President, our hopes and prayers will be in vain if we fail to ignite our hearts for peace in this once blessed land. We cannot wait much longer. We cannot permit this issue to escalate any further. Sri Lanka wishes Palestine genuine peace, which has been long overdue. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished representative of Sri Lanka for his statement, and I give the